Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Swipe Up, episode 158. This is the show where I pick out some posts that I saw on Instagram that I want to share and I want to talk about. So let's get it started with the man, the tragedy that is known as Jon Jones. I gave up watching MMA after Disney raised the pay-per-view price for the second time during a global pandemic. Not only once, but twice did they raise that price. And at that price and at that point, I was done. I was also kind of tired of Dana White and using the sport for like political means. Like, he's a huge Trump supporter. And I don't know. There's just everything has changed. MMA, my enjoyment watching it and following it, I respect the sport a lot. There are a lot of fighters that I absolutely love. Jon Jones at one point was one of them, but it's just he hasn't fought in a long time. He's been supposed to be going up to heavyweight at some point, but it's just like he's constantly getting into. So this is different photos from all of his different arrests over the years. It's crazy. He just goes on these streaks. So let me go through. 2012, he was arrested for driving while intoxicated and crashing his Bentley into a utility pole, injuring a man and two other girls. Super early in his career. Like, he was, I don't know if he was champion yet, but it was right around when he first became champ, which he was an early champ. He was a young champion. I think the youngest in UFC. Then 3 years later, 2015, arrested for hit and run, car accident that sent a pregnant woman to the hospital with a broken arm. Johns quickly left the scene, but only to return right away, not to check on the pregnant woman, but to get his bong and his cash. And nothing happened. 2016, arrested for drag racing, speeding. In 2020, in the early stages of COVID-19 pandemic, Jones tweeted about how everyone should stay inside to save the world. He was then arrested the same day for driving while intoxicated, as well as neglecting to use as negligent use of a firearm and possession of an open container. I remember that. That was crazy. You saw the footage of him drunk talking to the cop. Just like, oh, this lockdown is, which a lot of people, the lockdown was tough for. But Jon Jones, man. And then it's like progressively through this, you're seeing like his social media, like he's training this attack dog. He's doing like all this kind of like artillery training. Like, he's a guy, if like got the right amount of brain damage, will be the most dangerous human on the planet. Hand-to-hand combat, one of the greatest to ever do it. Could potentially be, if he ever fights heavyweight. I mean, that's where it's the upper echelon of upper echelon. So on that level, highly dangerous. But then add tactical firearms, attack dogs, and whatever else he's doing. It's like just a little bit more brain damage, and that guy could flip the wrong way. Not that he hasn't. I mean, everything he's done has been stupid, but it's not like... I mean, this last one was a bit... probably the most physical, because aside from the car accident, but I think it was he pulled his fiance's hair, headbutted a cop car and dented it, which probably caused a little bit of brain damage right there. I mean, it's behavior that feels like this dude's got CTE already. It is wild behavior. I mean, it could have happened while he was young playing football. He could have been had like taken a big tackle when he was playing football. All of his brothers play football. Maybe that's where the brain injury happened, and that's what got him into fighting to begin with. Because he's just wild. I mean, wrestling got him into fighting, but, you know. It's sad, man, because it's like I want to root for the guy, but, like, he's not even fighting. He's fought, and it's like his fights have been whatever. You know, they were good when he came back to light heavyweight. Maybe he lost to Reyes. I thought he won. And Reyes didn't really do anything much after that. But, you know, I thought he won his fights. I thought they weren't as impressive of wins as they used to be. And then it was like, oh, he's going to go up to heavyweight and fight Ngannou. And it's like that died. That talks about that died like 5 times. That's another thing that's annoying with the UFC is that, like, because it's run the way it is, a lot of great matchups just never happen because of contract negotiations. They just don't want to pay the fighters. They want to pay the fighters as little as possible. So yeah, Jon Jones, the 2020 arrest, like I said, allegedly hitting and pulling his fiance's hair and headbutting a police car, causing damage to the vehicle. Moral of the story: don't get into a car with Jon Jones. Just a bummer, man. A bummer. I'm glad GSP is out in the world because he's like a good dude, an amazing fighter, icon in the sport. There was like a lawsuit at some point with like a girlfriend manager maybe, but like no drama. It's not like all of the other, you know, like Matt Hughes, some serious problems. You got guys like, the Rampage kind of went crazy a few times. Just like there's, a lot of brain damage makes people turn bad pretty quick. So it's a bummer for Jon Jones. It's a bummer as somebody who used to be a fan of Jon Jones. As far as a fighter, I think he could have been, like, that's probably going to be one of those arguments, like, could Jon have beaten these guys? And it's like, I think he could have beaten anybody. Nobody looked like they got close. The closest he got to losing was Vitor Belfort, who was juiced to the gills. Caught him in an armbar. That was the closest. And then when he broke his toe off fighting Chael Sonnen, if they had seen that, they would have stopped the fight. And it would have been, Chael would have won that, ridiculously would have won that fight. But aside from that, he's never been, like, I've never seen him rocked. Cormier hit him a couple times, but Cormier got KO. Cormier was a dirty fighter, too. Anyway, Jon Jones, it's a bummer to see. It's even from the outside. I'm not following the sport. There's still people like Max Holloway. I love Max Holloway. Frankie Edgar. There's still fighters that, like, I have a lot of respect for. Roxanne Modafferi, you know. Of course, Amanda Nunes. Just amazing champions out there. Zhang Weili is amazing. Like, I still follow a bunch of fighters' Instagram accounts. Michael Bisping, a great career. Although if they start tweeting like a bunch of QAnon or anti-mask, anti-vax stuff, I usually unfollow them. So I don't know. It's been a bummer, but I don't really miss watching MMA. Like, it was fun. It was fun keeping up with all of it. But, you know, when you keep raising the prices during a pandemic, Disney, fuck you, Disney. I'm going to get to you again later. But, yeah, not a fan anymore of Jon Jones. And it's really sad. It's really sad because I'm sure Dana White and the UFC probably talk about all of the help they've tried to give him more than they've actually tried to give him help. I would imagine. I can't imagine anybody trusting Dana White at any point. But let's move on. Governor Newsome signs a bill making universal voting by mail permanent in California. I love this. This should be every state. It is the easiest way to vote. Instead of, like, you know, registering, looking to see where your voting place is, depending on where you live. You're going to some, like, random person's garage I remember voting once in the second Obama election, going to just some random person's garage. Like, I don't know that person. That person could be like have cameras set up and be a super QAnon person. He could be videotaping everybody that goes in there and seeing who they are. And, I don't know. I don't know that person. I'm not a fan of going into some random person's garage to cast my vote for president or anything for that matter. Like, I don't know them. Like, I'm trusting them that they're going to just do the right thing. So voting by mail, I like it. Throw it in the mailbox or drop it off. If it's a presidential election that's against Trump, dropping it off directly at a drop box. I'll vote on everything if it just gets mailed to me. Sure. That I like. Assuming, they get the joy out of running the mail service and actually try to make that better instead of destroying it so it can become all just private businesses that are in charge of the mail, which that would not be good. That would not be good. Then you get a lot more of the, like what happened with FedEx, where you have this guy who's that decide not to deliver any packages that have like a BLM flag or a Biden sticker or a rainbow flag, like anything that's not straight up hardcore QAnon or conservative propaganda, anything other than that, your packages didn't get delivered. And then he got fired, and I don't know. It's just, but like I'm supposed to go into one of their garages. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So this is good. I like this. It should be everywhere. Anybody that's opposed to this is just dumb. It's dumb. How is this not better than going into some random person's garage? I know not all of the voting places are garages, but some are. And I would imagine if you live in some areas, you may not want to go into some random person's garage. A little over 4 years ago, I started The Many Faces. It's an ongoing series of abstract ink portraits. Each piece is improvised. Each piece is released daily. Start collecting now. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/TMF. That stands for The Many Faces. And save yourself 25% when you use coupon code RTS. That stands for The Ray Taylor Show, because that's what you're listening to, and I love you. So I want you to save 25% when you use that coupon code. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/TMF and use coupon code RTS to save 25% when you start collecting one of over 1,600 original ink paintings. By myself, I made them. Support me. I love you. Back to the show. Moving on, shall we? Back to Disney. Scarlett Johansson and Disney have settled their lawsuit over the release of Black Widow on Disney+. I would have loved to see, obviously they settled. I'm sure every time Disney gets sued, which I'm sure they get sued a lot. I saw a bunch of looking up pictures for the background here. At first I searched Disney sued. And of course, there's all of the times that Disney sues people. I'm sure that happens all the time. They're very litigious. But I'm sure they steal a lot of things that end up in their stuff that they end up getting sued for, and they just settle out of court. When you're as big as Disney, when you could afford to purchase all media as Disney is slowly gobbling up, then yeah, they can settle with one actor that they'll probably never do business with again. They can do, but like how many actors has Disney completely fucked over and just probably been buried in legal fees? Like, Johansson can afford a lawyer, but if you're not Scarlett Johansson with Marvel money, maybe you can't afford to sue Disney, just career-wise. How many artists is Disney fucking? How many? It's not a business that cares about artists anymore. It is a business that will do whatever they want. I mean, they have no artistic integrity with all their regurgitated bullshit that they come out with, in my opinion. They're doing like mediocre at best stuff. Have some like fake moral high ground to Disney that will never do a rated R film, but they will sure as hell underpay every actor they can get away with. Guaranteed that's what they're doing. Guaranteed. But anyway, I'm glad that Scarlett Johansson won. Would have loved to see maybe a class action suit. I would imagine Scarlett probably went to people, and a lot of those people are scared because Disney owns a lot of shit. So if you get blackballed by Disney, it really limits the studios that will work with you, especially if they put pressure on other studios, because Disney's so big. You know, it's stupid. It is stupid that Disney's allowed to be as large as it is and raise their prices at every conceivable moment, while obviously trying to get away with paying their artists as little as possible. As little as possible. As much as they can legally get away with. I mean, even if this had actually gone to court, they probably would have been found guilty, which would have opened the floodgates to every artist getting paid what they're worth. So this is Disney avoiding having to pay their artists what they're worth. And this is what happens when you don't have strong unions to fight. You have to like hope that the wealthy people that also work for the company will sacrifice their well-being for the lowly paid people. So, not a big fan of Disney. Happy that I haven't seen Black Widow. Like I don't know, like all these movies, like the Jungle Cruise or whatever movie that came out with Disney, don't care. Shang-Chi, I'm sure is great. I've heard great things. I love martial arts movies, but I just don't feel like supporting Disney if I don't have to. Unless there's like some must-see movie, but I'm not in any hurry. Like I'm going to spend as little money to that organization as possible. So congratulations, Scarlett. And please go work outside of Disney with good directors. You worked with good directors before, doing really good movies. You're a great actress. Stop doing the super. You made your, I'm sure, especially with this lawsuit, you're good financially, hopefully. Hopefully you're good financially. And you can just be an artist and do good work instead of working for some like cookie-coated corporate garbage of Disney. It's got like this facade of like morality, this facade of giving a fuck. But let's move on. Last but not least, I have been reviewing the Scream movies, movie by movie, throughout the franchise. 4 of them are out currently. This week is my review of Scream 2. But in Scream 1, that was starring Drew Barrymore, who was a bit of a bait and switch as far as casting is concerned, Drew Barrymore accidentally called 911 several times because the prop master forgot to disconnect the phone before filming, which is funny. It's funny. I mean, it's funny that they were, I mean, I guess, yeah, it makes sense that they were in a house. It was done in a house. But, like, not turning the phone off, like, I wonder, that must be annoying, especially that was probably filmed in L.A. How many times does that happen? Especially, like, because it's not like Drew, I'm sure if she knew, like, she's, like, how could she dial 911 and then while acting, is she just not paying attention to the person that's, like, answering? Is she surprised that they're answering? How many times was she on the phone and 911's like, this 911, what's your emergency? And then you hear her screaming, like, I don't know. I think Halloween is the scariest movie. Oh, I don't know. My boyfriend, he's going to be here soon. And he's going to, I think my popcorn's done. You know, that's a little suspect. I would imagine maybe it happened 3 times, and it's like a funny story that the crew and cast are like, oh, remember all of those times that we called 911 accidentally, and then we realized we were doing it, so we just stopped. But I guess, you know, if you're only doing a few takes, you know, that's weird. It's weird. It's a weird thing to not like handle, like turning the phone on, disconnecting the phone. Especially like a prop, like your job is to handle props. Like that's like your job. Like you're paying taxes every year as somebody who makes money dealing with props. And you have a prop that's its job is to, and it's not even a corded phone, it's a cordless phone. They could have taken the batteries out of the phone. You know, you could unplug it from the wall. It's not like if it was a corded phone, it's like, okay, everything's got to be plugged in to make it look real. I'm sure there's times where they unplug phones and you can see it. You know, if you're paying attention, it's like that phone's not even plugged in. But it's a cordless phone. What are you doing, prop guy? How high was that prop guy? That they multiple times, several times. How? How is that? How did they get away several times? I blame Drew Barrymore a little bit. Drew Barrymore and the prop guy. Drew Barrymore, what are you doing? How method are you? That, like, you're going to hear, like, even a dial tone. Even a dial tone. Like, you punch the number in, and then you hear ringing, and you're like, oh, this is amazing prop work. I'm so in this character. So I think Drew Barrymore was getting high with the prop guy. That's why they both fucked up. Drew Barrymore's like, I'm only in this scene. I'm one and done. I'm out of here. I'm on the poster, but I'm only doing this one scene. So I don't care if the cops get called. It's not like I got to be around these people for the whole shoot. She's like, hey, prop guy, you got weed, right? He's like, yeah, of course I got weed. Go smoke my trailer. And it's like, duh, we forgot to turn the phone off, this portable phone that doesn't really need to even work. Anyway, funny piece of trivia. Let's do some shout outs and get out of here, shall we? Shout out to war.mma_. Shout out KTLA 5 News. Shout out BuzzFeed News. And shout out, most of all, to Slash Film for that little piece of film trivia. But most importantly, shout out to you. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!